Hey guys, Sean Bukowski here. Hope everybody had a great weekend, starting off the week well. We're getting really close to property tax season, which is always exciting here in Texas and frustrating. But we're about there any day now. I expect the appraisal districts to have appraised values out. Some do. I think Harris County at the least already has their appraised values out. So as I said last week, we'll be talking about taxes for the next few weeks in the blog. It's a big issue. It can ruin your investment, and so that's why we focus so significantly on it. Because, look, I'm an investor too. I know that property taxes can easily ruin an investment, and if you don't get a handle on them, then that ROI or the IRR you're looking for just isn't going to come through. So let's talk about that. I want to talk about. You're going to hear this a lot from me in the next few weeks, but the appraisal districts have so much more information than they used to. Back, 5 years ago, even in Texas, which is a non-disclosure state, meaning you don't have to disclose the sale price of your property, it was pretty hard for appraisal districts to get a lot of information about your property other than to physically going to it and doing an appraisal. Now there's so much information out there. They've hired more people, and so they're digging through, for example, property records, deed records, to see when you purchased it. Do you have a deed of trust that has the amount of the mortgage on there, which is, by the way, another issue that we can talk about, potentially not having that on there. They also have like software programs like CoStar out there that have a lot of sales information, which is another reason why you want to have confidentiality agreements when you do a purchase. So that information is out there now. As a result, they have a lot more information than they used to. What does that mean for you? That means you got to be prepared when you go to your hearing, when you go to property tax hearing. You got to be prepared, and you got to bring data. That is what's going to sway the board, is for you to have data that supports your argument. There's no other way you're going to get your appraised value lowered than having data to back up the argument you're making to the appraisal board. So what do you need to do when you're preparing for that protest? First, when you're filing your protest, make sure you're protesting both the market value and the equal and uniform issue. In Texas, how that works is under the Texas Constitution, similarly situated properties have to be taxed at an equal and uniform basis. So you just have to make sure you're checking both those boxes, both market value and equal and uniform. In addition, then you got to have data. If you're an income producing property, you got to have those financials. You got to have your rent roll. If there's damage to your property, if there's easements on your property, bring supporting data and analysis for that. So if you have a large easement or a heritage tree on your property that really limits the what you can do with the property, that's going to reduce the value of it. And so start planning now to gather that information to be able to bring it to your hearings. In addition, COVID affected, if you have an income producing property especially, COVID probably affected your property. Make sure you have supporting data to back that up. And finally, last week we talked about the support for the exemption, the damage exemption from the winter storm. So make sure you have whatever invoices, pictures, whatever you can provide to support your argument for damages from your property from the winter storm. And obviously make sure you file that exemption request on time. It's like property tax is a tough season, and it's going to be bad this year. They're going to the appraisal districts are going to raise your values. There's no question. And the only way to get those reduced is to really be prepared and bring data and bring support for your argument. Hopefully you like this video. If you do, please sign up, subscribe to the YouTube page, and we'll talk to you next week.